I had a really hard time finding my way in Los Angeles. Very lonely and very estranged from family and very difficult to make friends. At a certain age, your life is all about expectations and this is what I'm going to do, this is who I am, this is what I'm going to be. And oftentimes, sometimes that pans out and things roll out for people. But I think probably for all of us in some way or another, there's a point in which expectations stop matching up.
I, have a little bit of a unique story where we ended up as a family in a community of people who believed in taking care of, that taking care of others was the way to create a world that was suffering less. When I left that community, I was kind of at odds and a little bit lost.
I still had the books, the books I had studied, the yellow book, the principal teachings of Buddhism. Picking it up again, reading it, is like I've got to actually try to do what this book keeps saying, which is you have to go meet a teacher and engage with a teacher and try to learn this from a teacher, not from a book.
Brian Smith was teaching out of his apartment, a typical Venice apartment. It was a funky little beach pad.
There's Brian Smith. He has a goatee, red hair, and he wears a tank top, and there's a surfboard behind him, and then the beach behind that.
He started out teaching 3 people. He often says 2 people and a girlfriend, but he would advertise periodically, and the group grew. And I started hearing the teachings and hearing what were some very vague but fundamental beliefs that felt like out of my very heart, being expressed so much more deeply and richly and beautifully and clearly and in a way that and with a set of instructions that I could actually practice.
And I had begun to have a daily meditation practice in this new place that was quiet, that I had some free time, some time in my life. And there was just one morning where I remember meditating before my altar, before my little place, and feeling like I did a good job, and that I did it, that I had taken what I had learned and I had applied it, and it felt good, and it was working, that I had a place to go, that I had a path. I felt like I had a way to go.
He had encouraged the 4 of us, Rick, Lindsay, Cliff, and I, to teach. But Brian, he was absolutely committed to this practice and decided at a certain point to take monastic vows. But before he left LA, he wanted to make sure that what we had begun would be able to continue. He said, you need to get a physical center. You need to form up a serious community around a physical center. And at that point we said, we need a physical center. We said, okay. Cliff went out to look for it, found a really terrible looking place.
We saw that space when Sal and I walked into the space that is now Mahasukha, walked into that space for the first time. It was just obvious. And everyone recognized that this was a sacred endeavor. They were involving themselves in a sacred act. We were building a temple together.
As soon as we all kind of wrapped our minds around the fact that we could do what seemed to be a really huge project, but that actually we would be able to do this, that everybody became very, very excited about it. We're absolutely thrilled and put together a center.
The point wasn't so much to make it to opening night and, you know, switch on the Klieg lights for the gala. The point was to accomplish the larger goals. The point has always been to accomplish the ultimate goals. And so every step along the way is positive and important and valuable, but is a means to an end. Is a means to an end.
You know, a building is just a building. Walls are just walls. It's who fills those empty spaces. And the empty space of Mahasukha is filled with beautiful people that are practicing kindness and compassion and wisdom and having fun.
People are interested in being here and meeting other artists. On things like the music nights, it's just a space for people to come and enjoy, and just to enjoy the freshness of this space and the beauty of it and the energy that's kind of in the room, and I think just saturated in the walls.
Maybe the second time I came to the Mahasukha Center was for a Tibetan heart yoga class. So I was immediately intrigued, like, what is this yoga that's so different? The mind practice was so specific. And it was the first time that I really felt there is a wisdom, a philosophy behind not just the physical practice, but the mental practice.
Meditation is a very essential part of this path, and I right away got a very grounded, quick, very practical introduction to meditation. I right away got a meditation practice that I could use, how the ideas that are being studied apply to everything that I do.
One beautiful aspect of what's offered at Mahasukha is that no matter if it's a retreat, or if it's a Dharma class, or it's a performance, or it's an arts workshop, or if it's anything that, or just even the most simple meditation class, is that what you get from that, what you learn and experience at those types of events and classes, is something that completely fits to whatever is going on in your life.
I feel like this is the space where the stuff of life really flowers and becomes very potent and more clear to work with. It's taking all your baggage from outside and not leaving it at the door, but bringing it in and analyzing it and looking at it with compassion and sharing it with each other. You know, there's no pretense here, and that's the way it should be.
You can't do it alone. You need support. The community at Mahasukha Center is remarkable because everyone is going down the same path. Everyone is struggling, everyone is failing, everyone is picking themselves up and moving forward and failing again, and being willing to share those failures, being willing to share those obstacles that are in their way.
In a city like LA, where you bounce from party to party and people are all in their own world or trying to pretend like they are something they're not, and relationships are very superficial a lot of times, it was very refreshing to come here and meet these people who are real, who are happy, who are open about what they're doing, who have a very close community, who are always available, who are always offering to help you, who you can feel are always looking for a way to help you. It's very refreshing, and definitely one of the strongest reasons why I've kept coming back here.
You know, you're coming into the center, but it's absolutely about you going out of the center and going out into the world and going out into every walk of life. We all want our lives to be meaningful. We want them to be filled with love. And Mahasukha Center gives you the wisdom and the way to be able to do that day in and day out. Totally sustainable, totally by donation, and totally doable every day of your life. And that is what makes Mahasukha so worthwhile.
A hallmark thing about Mahasukha that across the board, people walk in there and they feel it. The virtue that went into creating the place resonates to this day, still resonates, and will continue to resonate if we maintain that same spirit, that same compassionate, hopeful spirit.